Hello, all. Welcome back to the Exposing Grief YouTube channel. I am excited to introduce this next interview, Embrace the Healing interview with Monica Delius. She is a certified yoga instructor to walk mainly women through anxiety, stress, and grief in a very specialized, personalized yoga plan. So she's going to talk a little bit about how yoga can help your grief journey. Let's not waste another minute and let's jump in.
All right, well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Best Self Therapy Facebook page. I am Brittany Squillis, the owner and CEO of Best Self Therapy. If you are on this Facebook page, it's for one of multiple reasons. You yourself are grieving and have recently had a loss or walking through your grief journey, which we know never really ends. You may be on here because you are supporting someone who is grieving and you're looking for resources and how to best do that, or you're just curious about what Best Self Therapy is all about and you found yourself on this page. Whatever reason you are on this page for, I'm excited to welcome you and share this information with you. This month I am doing a series on complementary services to grief. So each week we'll feature a different service that can go in pairing to whatever grief work you are currently doing. So we've got some experts here to talk to us. And today I have Monica Delius with me she does yoga. So we're going to have her introduce herself and talk about her yoga practice. So Monica, if you just want to take a little bit to tell us about you and about your yoga practice, we can start you there.
All right. Sounds good. Yes. As you said, my name is Monica and I am a yoga coach, and I've been teaching for over a decade and practicing for probably, now that I think about it, almost 20 years. And what got me into yoga was back pain and back issues by the recommendation of my physical therapist. So I went there for that purpose, and I came out and I just felt like mentally and spiritually so amazing, that weight of stress that you carry with you sometimes. It just felt like that burden was lifted in class. Like I was like, poof, gone, and you walk out like you're walking on air, and life felt great. And my back got better too. Yes. But I would say the main benefit of that was just that amazing feeling of being relaxed and not stressed out, and then learning some of those tools. And then at some point I became a teacher in there, an instructor, and it's just a joy to help people. I just love to help people relieve their stress and lower their stress, and know that there are very simple tools that you can use that aren't complicated, and really anyone can learn them.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And I think simplicity really is key. I think, anybody, whatever they're going through, but I know particularly grief clients are looking for what is going to be the most simple, whether in terms of it's the most accessible or it's just the most simple to implement, because they're already stressed and overwhelmed with navigating the grief. So anything they can get their hands on that is simple is awesome. So I know you do a lot of work with stress and anxiety in your yoga practice, but you also do some grief work. So talk to us a little bit about how yoga can help grief wherever anybody might be in their journey.
Oh, absolutely. So, and when you think of yoga, like yoga is the physical movement, but then there's also the breathing and meditation. And I think when people look at yoga, like if you're researching online on YouTube, it can be very intimidating sometimes, because the models that are usually doing the yoga are usually look probably like gymnasts or like high-end athletes. And it's such a misnomer. And I just get very frustrated with that, which is part of the reason I started my business, because yoga is accessible for pretty much anyone. I mean, there are a few exceptions, but I mean, there are people who have been paralyzed who can practice yoga. And it's, like I said, not just about the physical movement. So when it pertains to grief, the combination of all of those, and it's very unique to each of my clients, because sometimes the movement is needed with the breath, which helps move those feelings through the body. And some may just need to remain in a yoga pose. There's some that you just lie down and are supported by pillows, and then you breathe through that as opposed to movement. And then sometimes it could just be meditation, like just a positive meditation, mindfulness for that day to help them just make it through the day. So it's very, very customized for each person. And every time that they come to meet with me, we meet virtually, and it could be different every single time. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah, which is
Mhm.
great because that really speaks to where the client is at, which I hold a lot of value in, and I know you do as well. So that's fantastic. So, what might be some signs or symptoms that someone who is grieving might experience that will let them know I might benefit from yoga? So, whether that's, I'm assuming a lot of it might be physical, but what might be some symptoms or signs that they can look out for while going through their grief journey that then might signify to them yoga might be the next best step for me?
Um, Probably a lot of the similar things that when they might come to seek you as well, because, if you're feeling just depressed or anxious or just not finding any joy anymore in your daily life,
Yeah.
um, yoga can absolutely help that because it just reconnects you with your body, with your thoughts, and it reconnects you and helps you just move things that you don't need to hang on to anymore. It just helps you move that through the body. And my job is like yours is I hold space for you. And I kind of want to say, like, think of me as your warm, cozy blankie.
Oh,
And
I love it.
I'm holding your space there for you. Like it's that, the friend you want to rely on, but maybe you don't want to dump it all on them. But like I am here to help you through your journey. And it's a privilege for me to be able to just support someone, however that looks for them. To move through that. And it could be crying, and it's okay. Like sometimes I think people are more comfortable with me because they don't know me, like I'm not a friend or a family member, so they can just let what needs to move through the body move through. And it's a very, it's a healthy process that needs to be done
Yeah.
in that grieving process. So yes.
Yeah.
And what else do you want to say? Like, and I think physically too, like your body is tense and you're just like feeling stiff, and just, if you're all so tensed up and just, um, I don't know, just you're tense and tight shoulders, everything. If you're, and you're not as flexible as you used to be, all those types of things, kind of like feeling in a tight little ball. That's a good sign that
Yes, yes,
it could be
yes.
helpful for you as well.
Yeah,
Mhm.
great. Yeah, I was going to ask about some of the physical symptoms because you did a great job of hitting on what mentally they might be experiencing, which I appreciate that you do because they might be more in tune with that, right? Because we kind of, okay, I'm doing talk therapy, so that's more of a mental health thing. So they may not be as aware of their physical symptoms. And we know mind and body are connected. So grief
Yes.
has a funny way of affecting our body. So I appreciate that you hit on some of the physical symptoms that they might feel as well. That kind of lets them know, hey, might be a good thing to seek out some yoga, and not just any yoga, but a very specialized yoga like you offer.
Yeah. And like I said, it's very personalized to what they're needing. I mean, one day you can need something a little more intense. Other days you need to relax and just be, and breathe. And just as an example, so when I was in my teacher training, we had a guided meditation. And during that meditation, I could just, like, I felt these emotions move through my body. I had no idea where they came from, but it was just a release. And that's what blew my mind, is how impactful, be it the guided meditation or the breath work or movement, how impactful that can be in your journey to heal emotionally, or, as you're moving through grief or anything like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I appreciate that you bring that up. And if I could do a follow-up question, I know a lot of my clients are, depending on what their grief journey looks like, or what's contributing to their grief, there may be some hesitancy around emotions coming up that they may not want to handle or they don't want to address. So typically I'll see this with a lot of trauma that's been attached to their grief or their loss. What can you say to those clients or those viewers that, okay, I know I have some trauma, or I know I have some difficult things attached to my grief, and if I do yoga, I'm allowing those to surface and I don't want to do that. What can you speak to that a little bit of how they might be able to navigate that if they're not ready to mentally address those emotions, how the yoga side can still benefit them in that?
Oh, absolutely. Just that movement can continue to move it through the body, and just know that nobody's judging you. And I, trust me, like I didn't, like when I broke out into tears, when I went to that mindfulness, when we were led through that, I was like extremely mortified at first, because I'm a very private person. So I don't like to let that happen. But, I would say embrace the healing of it. It's not comfortable. It isn't. And, if you've been through that trauma, of course you want to stuff it down, probably because it's just horrible to go through. But if we keep holding on to that, that's just going to cause more damage. And I know that you have, like they have you, I'm not a therapist, so that's not my job to do that piece. That's where you work with your therapist. However, I can support you with the physical and the breathing, and just know that, I mean, it's not a pretty situation. I'm not going to lie, but once you're, just think about like a good cry, right? Like, how do you feel afterwards? Like your body needed to rid itself of that, and then you can move forward. So see that as like a positive light, like you're allowing your body just to move it through.
Yeah. I love that. And I love this conversation because it links how these services are complementary to one another, right? So, what I'm hearing you say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm hearing you say is if the emotions surface, just let them be, right? Don't judge them. We don't have to do anything with them. Just let them move through your body and do what they need to. And then they can come back to me or whatever grief counselor they're working with to really process maybe where those emotions came from. Right. So it sounds like your is the physical release, and then they come to myself or another grief counselor and do the emotional and mental release.
Exactly. And both in tandem are important. Yeah. Especially if you're moving through that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, that's fantastic. I love it. And I love your, I don't want to say advice, but your piece on just embrace the healing. That's lovely. I absolutely love that.
Yeah. Nobody said it's going to be fun all the time, but, but I think the more you peel back the layers, the more you become your authentic self again and discover who you are. And it can be hard, but that's what you and I are here for as professionals. Like if it's challenging, and it is challenging to share these type of things with friends or family sometimes, and you feel so vulnerable, but you won't be judged. We're just here to support you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Safety is the number one. That's fantastic. Well, Monica, for the viewers who are interested or curious, can you talk a little bit about what your typical process is with the client? So, maybe speak on their first session with you and then what they can expect moving forward.
Absolutely. So anyone who's interested in working with me, we set up a one-on-one call together, and we do this all virtually, obviously, through Zoom usually. And first, I just find out what your goals are, what you're looking for, what type of help you want, be it more physical or spiritual, mental, meditation, or a combination of. I learn all about your health history, more specifically like injuries or surgeries. So we need to take all those things into account. And keep in mind, you do not have to practice yoga on a mat. You can be in a chair, you can be standing and with support. I have clients that do all of that. So think of it as stretching, you're doing a lot of stretching. And then I have a couple of different programs, a more accelerated one that's a few months longer than the other. So we look at those where you can meet once a week or twice a week. And we just determine what's best for you and what you're able to commit to for that. And sometimes we have to customize things because we don't all fit in the same box. So.
And so do you offer, so people who are interested but aren't really sure if they want to fully commit, do you offer like a free consultation or anything like that?
And that's what we do. Well, I'll offer that free consultation, and you come on the phone with me, and then I'll lead you through a little mini session too, so you can see what it feels like in your body. And, to be honest, it's like with anything else, you have to be comfortable with me. We have to get along. It's like going to the dentist or doctor, and your friend's like, hey, they're great. And you go there and you're like, maybe not for me. So we have to be able to get along too, because, we're spending a lot of time together, and you need to feel comfortable with me. So that's very important for both ways. Yeah. That we have that connection that way.
Yeah. Well, and it's very vulnerable work, right?
It is.
To have that safety and that comfortable relationship is important. Absolutely.
And what I love to like joke around. I just say, don't take yourself so seriously in yoga. So we tell like sometimes jokes and just have fun, because it can get people think it's very serious, and it is a serious practice. But I think you just need to be a little bit, it's fun to be lighthearted about some things, because we're just all too darn serious these days.
For sure. Preach it. I agree. So then with that, kind of branching off of that, for the viewers who are interested, where can they find you?
Right now, they can find me on Facebook, so Monica D Yoga, and or you can reach out via email or phone. And I don't know if we can put a link below, but my email is monicadyoga@gmail.com, or my number is 612-735-5826, and website's coming possibly in the new year. So a revision.
Yes. Yeah. I will put your contact information in below. So look for those links. They should be on there. Anything else you'd like our viewers to know about yourself or your yoga practice or just yoga in general? Anything else you'd like them to know before we bid them adieu?
Yes, I do want to share that I have a private Facebook group. It's currently for women only, and it's I can share the link with you so you can post it. And I go live every week with tips and tricks, and I also have a newsletter. So if anyone's interested in that, so you can keep up to date of offerings, or I always send out tips every week of different postures and different options to get into them, or and what they're good for and how it can help you.
Yeah, and it sounds like that might be a nice way for people to kind of slowly introduce the idea into their life as well, right? If they're not fully ready yet, they can do the free consultation or they can join the Facebook group because they don't have to be a client, correct, to join your Facebook group?
Nope, they can just join. Yep. Mm-hmm. And if more boys want to, then I'll start one for them. Usually they're a little more lenient. So if you're a gentleman here, don't be shy. So my dad's 83 years old and he started taking Pilates and yoga like in his mid to late 70s. So he's like, these young men should really start earlier.
Good. Yeah, anyone can benefit. That's good.
Everyone, all ages. So
yeah, wonderful. Well, Monica, I appreciate your time. Thank you for sharing what you do and sharing about yourself and giving people a little bit of insight into how yoga might be able to help them along their grief journey, or at least fit in their grief journey process. I will put her contact information below, so there should be links there. You guys can find that if you are interested. If you have any questions for myself or Monica, please don't hesitate to reach out. What I'm taking away today, and maybe you guys can put in the chat below what maybe you're taking away from the interview, is that embrace the healing. I really love that. So embrace the healing, whatever that means for you. But I thank you, Monica, very much for taking the time to talk to our viewers today about how yoga can help their grief journey.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. It was my pleasure.
It's my pleasure. And we hope to do future collaborations. So
we do. Yes, we have things cooking.
Yes, it's wonderful. Well, thank you again, Monica, for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thanks for tuning in, everyone.
That was a fantastic interview. Thank you so much, Monica, again, for allowing me to interview you and take your time. Viewers, I hope you got something out of that interview. I hope you found that useful. And maybe it kind of lit the fire to explore for yourself of how yoga might fit in your grief journey. If you want to start exploring that or you have more questions for Monica, her contact information is below. She does have her email down there. She does have a private Facebook group that you can definitely check out to kind of get started if you're not sure if you're quite ready to jump in yet. If the only thing you take away from today's interview is this idea of embrace the healing, I will be happy. Embrace that healing throughout your grief process. It's not easy. We are here to help you along the way in whatever way that looks like. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Subscribe below so you don't miss any of the content that's still coming your way, and we'll see you next time.